Hey guys, welcome back to Generation Jesus. I'm Emma, and today I'm here with Soryn.
Hi. I'm Soryn, and so basically I'm the oldest of two boys, and one is about to be 16 and one is about to be 14. So we have a weird family dynamic where we're all super close in age. So
Same.
don't really listen to me when I tell them what to do. We kind of live on a farm, but like it's not a big farm. It's like
That's
1
cool.
acre. And we have chickens, and we used to have goats, but then they got really messy, and
Oh,
we were
no.
like, Mm-mm, we're getting rid of them because they used to be a little cute. But
Oh, I know.
now
Like
they're
my
not
mom
anymore.
is obsessed with goats.
Yeah.
She wants them so bad. We have chickens, but
Yeah,
whatever.
chickens are like so cute, and they're so productive with the eggs and stuff like
Yes.
that. And then my brother has a lizard, and we have cats and dogs.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
I've been dancing since I was 2, and recently just got into art and painting, mostly flowers, because I just love flowers.
Oh
They're
my
so
gosh,
pretty.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Flowers are my favorite thing ever.
Me too. So yeah, that's just all about me.
I love that so much, especially the fact that you paint flowers, because
Yeah.
flowers are beautiful. But yeah, you want to like give like some of your testimony?
Yeah, I'd love to. So basically, it's not this huge like thing where it was like this huge redemption story.
Yeah.
I've grown up in a Christian home, like always went to church. All my family is Christian, and just been raised in a really safe environment.
Yeah.
So I knew that like the Bible was true and Jesus was my savior, but it wasn't really real to me. And I don't really remember when I became a Christian because I was so young, and I
Yeah.
just kind of like grew in it.
Yeah.
So I always tell like the story when I was 6 because it's like a faint memory, but it's kind of like a dream memory. So it could be real, it could have been a dream, but
Either way, you're still a
yeah,
Christian.
right, still a Christian. And so it was when I was little, and I was in my room, and I got like punished, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm a Christian now. And I kind of remember that, but at the same time, it's like faint. So it could have been true, it could have been not.
Yeah.
And then I just grew in it. But as I grew, I dealt with a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety just with little things. Like, so every night I would have like a new fear, and I didn't like sleep in my room for the longest time because I would just every night something new, and I just barely would sleep, and it would just terrify me every
Wow.
night. And it was just like little childish fears that now don't seem as big, but back then they were like huge.
Oh, anything
Right.
like scary seems so big.
Yeah. That was up till I was like 11, and then I was like, okay, I'm okay. You know, I
Yeah.
can sleep in my room. Like, this is dumb. But then after that, when COVID happened, I had this like huge health scare, and I didn't really know what it was. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't take a deep
wow.
breath for the longest time, and then I was fine. So I was like, okay, that's whatever. I didn't really go to God in that moment. It just went away. But then like a year later, I was about to go to sleep, and I couldn't take a deep breath, and I was just so worried. I was like, what is this? Did it come back? And so I didn't sleep. I didn't eat for 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was just really not in a good place, like physically, and then it was affecting my emotional health. So then it was months before I figured out what it was, and it turned out just to be allergies. But because of that, it really brought me closer to God because I couldn't rely on myself anymore. I couldn't rely on, picking up a book and then feeling better, like doing these worldly things. They weren't bad things. They were just
Yeah.
like not going to God to deal with my anxiety. And so that was when I really got close to God. And I knew I had to go to him for things, and I wanted to. And then I didn't get baptized till 2 years ago not because I didn't want to, but because I was so scared I wasn't going to have this huge like redemption story to tell.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big important story like of me like realizing this and going through so much and becoming Christian. It was just I've grown in it. But then I realized 2 years ago, I was like, I don't have to have that. Like
No.
every story is important.
Yes.
And so then I got baptized, and that was really great. And then this past year, so 2023, beginning of 2023, I was dealing with a lot of guilt and anxiety and doubt. Not because I'd done anything wrong, or I was just doubting anything specific. It was just dealing with like God's will and stuff, and if I was doing the right thing.
Doing like going through with his plan.
Yeah.
Not yours.
And I knew deep down I just had to trust him and
Yeah.
just follow his word and do the right thing in every situation, but I was more like looking at the big picture and not at every situation. And when I do that, it stresses me out.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing that. And then I prayed before I went to summer camp that year that the lesson would be about, and it would teach me about God's will and putting my trust in him and his promises for my life. And it was. And I was like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is really crazy and awesome. And I remember through that experience, I learned that I'm set apart from non-believers and that God has a great plan for my life and I just have to trust him. I don't have to make any crazy decisions off of just like a vision or like a sign or something like that. That could have just been like a coincidence, you know?
Yeah.
And so those were the little things that were stressing me out. And so I just realized I have to trust his plan and take every situation and look at it and choose life or choose death.
Yep.
And so that was a crazy experience that really helped me. If you don't mind, I have a prayer I wrote when I was in camp, and it was during a song, and it was during like this huge worship time. And it was really just like me like pouring my heart out to God and just like realizing in that moment, like, again, I can't do this alone. Yeah. So it's not very long, but it went something like this. God, you move the mountains in my heart. Where I go, you will follow. And where I go, where you go, I will follow. Any sinful deeds I will flee from. All you despise, so will I. Yet joy and gladness still fill my heart because you are a power that can never be broken. These thoughts that cloud my brain, the storms that block my way, the demons that try to derive me of you will not nor never succeed. When I feel you and tears of hope flow from my eyes, you are there. When I don't and it feels like you are nowhere and tears of despair flow from my eyes, you are there. In my highest and my lowest, in my happiest and my distraught, you are there. Satan will never succeed. He is already defeated. He will never get my soul, for you have it in your tight grasp. I realize now in my lowest, confusing, scary, dry times that what Satan tried to use for his evil, God, you used it for good. You made me realize that I cannot do this without you. I cannot trust the schemes of the devil. I must wholly rely on your truth. While Satan tried with earthquakes and floods, God, you showed in the wind and the whispers, until only now do I see. And I, being born of sin and shame, will surely fall again. Remind me of your truth, Jesus. Remind me whatever path I take, you are there. Your spirit indwells in me daily, and I, your child, chosen, set apart, am never alone. Praise be to you, God my Father, the one, the only, Abba, the Prince of Peace. For through your grace alone I am saved, and your truth I hold fast to, not from anything I could have done, but through your infinite, steadfast mercy. These demons know, God, that they cannot and will not get my soul, for it belongs solely to you and will forevermore. With you, God, I will fight off their attacks, and when I stumble, come running after you. I trust wherever you take me, God. I trust the miraculous plan you have for my life. I trust in your holy name. I trust.
That is beautiful.
And it was just like,
wow.
I just had to just let go, and I just had to stop thinking. I had to stop overthinking, and I just had to take every situation. And my mom always told me to choose life or to choose death, and you have to choose one that'll lead you to one or the other.
Yeah. Wow.
So
that is beautiful. That was amazing. Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't really, usually when I'm writing, I usually think about what I want to say, but for that I just kind of like wrote stuff.
It was just like coming out of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because,
crazy.
And I know it's like people say like when you go to camp, you have like, you get to the mountaintop and then
like
you go down.
Camp high.
Yeah, and then you go down. Yeah. But really, it wasn't like that this time because it stuck with me.
Wow. Like that's amazing.
Because like I've had those times after camp where I was still like doubting and still feeling the guilt. But then I knew where to go and I knew where to turn. Yeah. And every time I went to the Bible and I prayed, I felt so much better.
It gives you so much peace.
Yeah, it does. And when I was forgetting to do that, it came back. And I was like, okay, now I know what this is. Like it's not some crazy like sign or feeling like you need to make these choices. Like, because I know when I went to the Bible, I felt better. I felt like God knew what he was doing with my life, and everything he put in my life is there for a purpose. And same with like anxiety stuff. I didn't know why it was happening, but now I do. It was because I wasn't trusting him and I wasn't going to him, and he needed to make me go through those situations to do that.
Yeah. And it's also like the enemy just trying to attack you and like make you believe the total opposite of like God's plan for you, and like try to like manipulate you into doing things that like you don't want to do, and it's not God's will for you. And like his plan is so amazing. It's at times it's hard to trust because you'd be like, what? Right. Like you're in this season, you're like, why? like, why am I going through this? Like, why is this part of your plan? But he does everything for a reason. And you're going to learn, even if something ended in a way that you didn't want it to, you're going to get a lesson out of that. You're going to learn something from that. And the Lord is just going to like guide you through life and teach you. And like you said, you have to choose the path of death or life, because like anything you do could lead to, you know, that's amazing.
Yeah. And it was like, so there was this point, like even after camp, where like literally the devil has tried everything he can, because I've like felt everything and I feel very deeply. So like I feel like different things. And so like there was one time where I literally like did not feel God anywhere. And I'm a very emotional person. And so I thought that if I wasn't being emotional about God and like really like feeling it deeply, then he wasn't there. And then I read a book, The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis.
I just read that for school.
It was so good. Like I love that book. And it said, you know, it's from the demon's perspective. And it said, our plan is never more in danger than when a Christian feeling like God is nowhere still obeys. And I was like, okay, like that's what I got to do. I got to, you know, I just have to obey, even though I don't feel him emotionally, I still have to follow his plan. And so, yeah, that was really an impactful book for me. And it just hit me right where I was hurting.
That's amazing. It's so cool how like, even like a book or like you'll see something that like, you're like, okay, he's there. God's listening. Like he'll show himself to you in very small or big ways. But do you have any advice for anyone like struggling with anxiety or like fear? Like what's one piece of advice that like you would give to someone that like is struggling?
I would say just, it's so simple, but just open your Bible and just pray and take every situation, not, because I feel like people who struggle with anxiety, if when they're looking at the whole picture, it's really stressful because you get overwhelmed by everything. So just take every situation, like I've said a lot, take every situation and choose life or choose death.
Yeah.
The little choices you make matter so much. And everyone that you make can impact your life in a good way or a bad way.
Yep.
So yeah, that's just the advice I have. And then I have 2 verses that I marked down that really have helped me. So the first one is Matthew 11:28-30. Come to me, all who are labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And
I love that verse.
Me too. And then 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. This one really got me through some hard times. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. So like, no matter what we're going through and how crazy our life may seem, we're not defeated, because the worst that could happen is we die and we're going to be in heaven with God.
Yeah, you just have to trust that. Thank you so much for coming on here. You're amazing to talk to. I've loved meeting you. And yeah, I hope y'all took something from this message, and like, just know, lean on the Lord for anytime you're dealing with anxiety, and because he's the one that's got you. And yeah, y'all stay tuned for more.
Bye.